And here we go again, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the Part-Time Avenger, and with me is Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're here to talk about Star Wars. We got super excited by the Skeleton Crew. We split decision on the thumbs up, thumbs down, can and can't do this all day, but man, it got our juices flowing. We decided it was time to do our Mount Rushmore of Disney and new Star Wars characters, those that came after the mouse bought the house that Lucas built.
As you kind of tell, so we're doing like a new thing for this year, and we love to talk about the best of the best, and a lot of times this is just saved for the conversations that we have just with each other. So we figured, you know what? Why not share it with the world? It's time. We have a worldwide audience. Let's go ahead and do this. So yeah, I think every month we're gonna do a Mount Rushmore until the fans say fuck it. So here we go. Mark, let's talk about some of the prerequisites and really what was it open to? Is there anything that was limited to?
So I think that we both know that if we just opened up Mount Rushmore of Star Wars characters, they would all come from the original trilogy. Legit. There'd be nothing else. There'd be nobody. You know, I don't even think anything from the prequels is sneaking in. No Jar Jar here. You know, maybe a Mace Windu. You never know. He was a bad motherfucker. Much like new Marvel, new Star Wars has brought new challenges to those old school fans like you and me. Those that grew up with the original trilogy, that have had the time to digest the prequels and be like, well, it's better than nothing. And now we got the sequels. We got the new stuff that's come out. It's just fun to talk about the things that really hit us. So for this list, we disqualified any character that showed up in any in any Lucasfilm property pre-Disney, which means no Ahsoka, none of the Luke, Leia, none of the original characters, nobody from the prequels. But I also left off my most the one I struggled with the most as a real Star Wars fan. I left off Grand Admiral Thrawn. Not a new Disney character, a character that's been around for decades, was a Timothy Zahn character as part of what we all hoped the sequel trilogy would be, was just make those 3 Thrawn books. But anything that was new, which is basically Star Wars Rebels on. So yeah, Dan, anything you'd add? Anybody at the Thrawn level that you want to call out as an honorable mention, but you left them off for a reason?
I think the noticeable standout on or exclusion from my list is the fact that I didn't have Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, aka the child. I mean, I think it's just fair to say that it is a cute, adorable character, and we were so stoked to see him on the Mandalorian because, like, yeah, oh, is this like Yoda's relative or something like that? Like, obviously it's the same species. And let's be honest, every time he made his little baby noises, everyone watching was like, oh, what a cute little bastard, you know? Like, there's an ongoing theme for me and Aliens where I say that they're cute little bastards. And that's just kind of what it is for me. So Grogu, not on the list. Another one that it was like really, really, really close for me. But at the end, I was just like, just too much. And that was going to be the little rolling beach ball. And I think overall, you have to like that droid BB-8 because he had just a different look about him, and I thought he was as cool as R2. I was like, oh, do I put that droid on there, or do I put another droid on there? So there is a droid on my list, but it is not BB-8. But those are the top 2 that was just like super close. Notice that they're both 2 cute little adorable characters. I'm a big fan of cuteness in the Star Wars world because we haven't seen a whole lot of that. Yoda was old and decrepit, but still kind of cute. But like, yeah, I don't think anyone was saying Yoda was cute.
He was cute in a Grover kind of way.
Yeah. Well, hey, one would think that they sounded very alike.
It just hit you there, right? Little Fozzie Bear in there as well.
Or you know who he sounded like? He sounded a lot like that the cop from the Blues Brothers when they let Jake out. No,
or the cop from Trading Places.
Oh, yeah. Strange. I don't know. I just don't get it.
Just an authoritarian, I guess.
What a coincidence.
We hope to bring fervent debate to this. So hit us in the comments as we go. Let us know if we're hitting it right or if you just hate it. But for me, first one off the list, top of the list for me is Cal Kestis. None of you who don't play video games know who this is, but man, some of the best Star Wars video games in this character. Loved it. Loved the realism. Loved that it was based off of a real person. They did the mo capture for it and everything, but Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor definitely told a really great story and followed in the footsteps of other Star Wars games that told great stories like The Force Unleashed and The Old Republic. But gotta put it out there. Cal Kestis.
Kal El, the House of L. Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, I didn't actually know this particular character, but after you said him and I saw the picture of it, was like, oh, okay, cool. That's the guy from like all those little short videos that I've seen from the video game. Like, okay, totally understand it. But because I didn't play that video game, I'm sure I would have thought it was super cool if I did play it. But yeah, totally respect the pick, and good for you for going outside of the media of movies and TV. Mine is primarily on movies. My first pick is going to be Mark. If you could pronounce his name for me.
Chirrut Imwe. I will butcher that for you and take full ownership for all you Star Wars fans out there that want to tell me I'm mispronouncing things. Obviously, you've never listened to our podcast before.
Not only my favorite character in Rogue One, but I think it might even have leapfrogged all of my previous favorite characters in Star Wars when this first came out. I was like, holy shit, why did they not ever do a blind person in Star Wars? And the fact that he's like a samurai and he has such skill and he believes in the Force, I mean, that kind of makes it by default one of the top characters because he doesn't have any at least visible force powers. He's not making things levitate or anything like that. He is using his sheer overall commitment to the force. And that's what makes him a badass. And that also makes him like a great disciple of what the force is. And Donnie Yen, martial arts, Hong Kong legends, so cool to see him in that movie. I was super jazzed about that. And when I saw him on screen and he's like, oh, he's blind? Holy shit, they're gonna do a Zatoichi samurai type thing with him, and I'm all down with that. So if you haven't seen or not familiar with the name Zatoichi, he is a famous blind swordsman, and there's been plenty of movies and different iterations of that. But the fact that you bring him into the Star Wars world, super awesome, and that's why he's on my Mount Rushmore.
Hey, he's one with the Force, and the Force is with him.
Absolutely. And what a great sacrificial death, too. And some could say maybe him and Blaze. I think that was that guy's name with the freaking old Painless from Predator. He was like just demolished everyone. Another cool character, but I thought their little partnership and camaraderie, some people think it's a little more than that. But yeah, I thought that was just a super cool type of added element to the Star Wars world, especially in the worlds that was right there kind of kicking off the Luke Skywalker part of the saga. But going on to your next pick on the Mount Rushmore.
Sticking with Rogue One, you got to go Jen Erso here. A decisive character that really brought color to the post-Disney era, and I think made this movie what it was. It had the strong Leia-ness, definitely had some Carrie Fisher vibes in it, but also was just right. For me in this movie, and made Rogue One definitely one of the best Star Wars movies that there was, and just gave credence to the fact that Disney took something over and treated it with reference.
Yeah, some would say that is the best movie. It's not quite at the top of my list, but it is number 2 out of the entire Star Wars saga, at least from the movie perspective. Yeah, totally respect that pick. And she does have one of the coolest lines, although I don't think it's in the actual movie. It was in the trailer where it's like, well, you're a rebellion. That's what you do. You rebel. Like, right. She says that. And I don't even think that's in the movie. And I butchered that phrase, but they don't even say it in the movie, which kind of sucks.
This was just a great casting and a great character. and it again like gave hope in quotes and full on to those fans that were really worried about what Disney would do with the movies, and if they would all just be fan service or if there would be something more.
All right, my next pick. I see like a very, very common theme with our Mount Rushmores here. Maybe that's one of the reasons as to why we think this is one of the best Star Wars movie. But when it comes to droids, everyone thinks of R2D2, C3PO, maybe even a little bit of BB-8. But oh my gosh, when it came to K2SO, hilarious. I never have laughed so hard and snickered so much in a movie theater from a droid. This was awesome. He has a different type of charm to him, and so that it's very, very personified. And the fact that the best voice actor in the business today, in my opinion, Alan Tudyk, voiced him even better. Just the fact that Alan Tudyk can have that range and be able to emote so well with just his voice, and obviously kudos to both the practical suits and any type of CGI that was utilized for this. Like it made the entire package, and his sacrifice, just like Jin's, just like Chimrit's. It's so awesome, and it really added a layer of depth and put a lot of stakes into the story. So you felt bad that this droid was gonna die, and when it did, it was just like, oh, what a bummer, because I would have watched so much more with K2SO. But that's why I am memorializing him on my Mount Rushmore.
You didn't think that you'd love a droid as much as you loved R2 and in some ways 3PO. But man,
Yeah.
talk about the number two best droid in all of Star Wars. Uh, uh, Disney did such a great job in creating more droid-based companions in everything, right? You got K2, BD1, and all the Cal Kestis properties. The little droid in Obi-Wan that was Leia's BFF. They definitely created real characters
Yeah.
out of droids, and is a solid. I agree with you wholeheartedly that the death of K2SO was like, you know, truly made every it was a downer.
It
It
sucked.
was a punch to the gut, man. And it
Yeah.
gave real stakes to something that, you know, nobody was sad when Lando's droid had to be uploaded into the Falcon, except for Lando.
And,
But man, K2SO, definitely there, definitely there. Who's excited for Andor season two only because they have to introduce K2 in it. Has to happen.
we'll see if Alan Tudyk comes back. I know he's gonna be busy with Resident Alien in case any of you fans watch that as well. But yeah, just a great, great droid, and we'll continue on with this Mount Rushmore because there's a whole bunch of other awesomeness too.
Speaking of awesomeness, nothing's more awesome than a Jedi. Even when that Jedi is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. Kanan Jarrus, the titular Jedi character in Star Wars Rebels, the first animated series dropped by Disney after their purchase of Lucasfilms. A Jedi in hiding. He survived Order 66. We eventually got to see how he survived Order 66, hiding himself, kept his lightsaber in pieces and hidden, and became a bit of a smuggler and a pirate. And
He is all that. He's all that.
oh, he is all that. Yes, sir. I really enjoyed the character, the arc of the character, the redemption of the character, and you don't get that many badass Jedi anymore that aren't Luke Skywalker, and this was a cool one for me.
I wouldn't say I'm like an uber fan of Freddie Prinze Jr., but at the same time, I love the fact that he's so passionate about Star Wars. And if you didn't know, he also wrote for WWE for a while. So it's kind of cool that he has a lot of different interests. So he's very much like you and I, where we have a lot of in quotes, nerd type of hobbies and interests. So it's really awesome that you see that. And I don't know, maybe I'll check some of that stuff out. Maybe we'll have to do a review. Maybe we'll just have to do like a review with a deep dive on some of these Star Wars characters and just flesh it out a little bit more. But
Dude,
yeah.
I did not know you were such a Freddie Prinze Jr. fan. I didn't know you kept up with what he did last summer.
Sometimes I just have to talk down to you to let you know that there are some Freddie
Mhm.
Prinze Jr. references in there. So,
I
but
mean,
oh, we're gonna keep it going. Let's keep it going. I guess.
geez, you sound head over heels with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Man, that's about all that I know for Freddie Prinze Jr. So that's I can't play this game anymore. But I
Yeah, no, that
appreciate.
reference was quite the summer catch, my friend.
Ooh, ooh, look at that.
Deep
Look at
cut.
that. I don't know. It's to me, it's because I don't know a whole lot about him. It's just one big mystery machine. It's just kind of
Oh,
Scooby Doo and me
oh,
all over the place.
oh. Oh, that was a Shaggy reference.
Yeah, but going on, everyone, because I'm sure as much as you appreciate our wonderful banter, there's much more important things to talk about, such as this Mount Rushmore. So, the next one on my Mount Rushmore list, holy shit. Probably the only bright spot, in my opinion, of The Acolyte. I know there's a lot of people that really like that show. I think it was pretty good just because of him as a villain, and maybe not even a villain, maybe just another way to kind of view as to like how the dark side and the light side of the Force can be maybe not so right, maybe not so wrong. But this was so awesome because he made me interested in Star Wars again. I love the fact that you had Carrie Ann Moss in there, and also the actor from Squid Game. I'm not gonna pronounce his name because I'm just gonna butcher it. But I was totally in for them. But when I saw him come on the screen and just his justification and reasoning as to why he does the things that he does, that opened up the Star Wars mythos a whole lot more for me. And so, unfortunately, we're probably never going to see him ever again. We're probably not going to see any of those characters ever again. I can hope, but at the same time, it's just not looking good, right? Yeah, I think they're going to try and explore some other opportunities here, but it's irrefutable that he was an imposing force. And I personally have never seen someone mow down Jedi like this guy. It was awesome. He deserves a spot for just the amount of Jedi he has slain in the short show that we watched for him.
Dope character. Love the dark side tendencies there. Like a true Sith apprentice, if you ever saw one, lives up to the anger of Maul and the ferocity that there was there. Like just 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 right. And the most menacing helmet in all of Star Wars. Like there were some lame helmets. They went a little overboard with Kylo Ren's Darth Vader helmet. They even had the melted Darth Vader helmet. But man, the the weird Joker esqueness to the helmet, that's actually terrifying. Kylo Ren, not so terrifying. This guy, that's how you make a scary fucking helmet.
All right, but going down onto your next pick for the Mount Rushmore, Mark.
I believe my fourth and final pick for this Mount Rushmore. Speaking of great helmets, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, the lead character in probably the best show that they've put out, and talk about something that we were worried about when Star Wars after the Last Jedi came out, after the rise of Skywalker, all of the after all that shit, and we were just down on it and we were not feeling okay and there was a global pandemic and everybody was just bummed, you know. And then you got this show, fresh, new, but had just an old shine to it, brought so much together and was just, brought us back to the feelings that we got from those classic Star Wars movies. Just fit right in for me. Loved it. Yeah, it's hard to pick one character from this show and not include more of them in the Mount Rushmore because the we talked about Grogu. We could talk about the main villain in the Mandalorian was also really good. Giancarlo Esposito was great. I don't think I really appreciated Pedro Pascal until this show. And then it just blew up for me that I loved Pedro Pascal and I realized it. But man, like just so good. And I know he didn't do all the work in the costume, and I know that he just did the voice in some of it, and he, apparently was, kind of a pain on the set, but I just don't care because it was that good and that
Well,
awesome of a character. So good that they revived Boba Fett just to bring it in.
well, when you do have the weight of unbearable, massive talents, that's kind of that's a pretty tall order for him. So, but yeah, it's I'm totally down with this, and I wanted him to be on my Mount Rushmore, but I felt that there was a another pick that, at least in my opinion, really struck a chord with me. And it's almost kind of obvious that he would be on a Mount Rushmore, but totally well deserved. So I totally applaud you for that. It's just a good character and a good fleshing out of what fans like myself, to where I don't go into a lot of the books or the cartoons or anything like that. You get to flesh out a little bit of the Mandalorian lore and who they are, what they stand for, why they do the things that they do, why they always have a helmet on and everything. It's super cool to be able to see some of that stuff. And yeah, it was just a nice integration of some other parts of that galaxy. And even though I was never a big Boba Fett fan, which I never really understood the fascination with him. I know he does a lot of cool things in the books and everything like that, but just based off the movies, everyone's like, "Oh, Boba Fett's cool." Like, no, he wasn't. He got taken out easy, no problem. But with the Mandalorian, they just expand on that so much, and it's cool to watch. There's so many of them, and they all have their different skills, but the Beskar armor is so freaking cool. They can hold up to a lightsaber. Who wouldn't want something like that? And the fact that it's treated like currency and almost like a badge of honor every time you do a Mandalorian deed, you get some of that Beskar or whatever. It's just pretty awesome. And he's a self-made man when it comes up to that, Stu. So it's I can't wait to see more of the Mandalorian. We'll see when that movie comes out. Well, hopefully in the next few years, but he'll be pretty busy with the Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal will. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Marvel has some big plans for him too, but I don't know, man. When you're dipping your toe in both the Star Wars universe and also the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's good to be Pedro Pascal right now. But I've got one more pick, and it's my last pick, and I saved it for last because I'm so passionate about this. And you would think that this is a character that has been in so many different things, or maybe even a lead character in some of the TV shows or movies. But no, not it at all. And that character is going to be Migs Mayfield. That's right. Bill Burr is my last pick for my Star Wars new characters Mount Rushmore. His performance as Migs Mayfield made me care about Star Wars and also shed light into what used to be kind of like a joke perspective in Kevin Smith's Clerks, talking about the deaths on a Death Star, and also just some of the other people. Like, he brought some humanity to who he was working for, which was the Empire. And that scene where he's just kind of sitting back and asking about the massacre that took place, and he gives this great monologue of why it wasn't right, how he felt about it. And even though his performance and his screen time overall is very minuscule in the grand scheme of the new Star Wars timeline that we're kind of picking from, it was the biggest impact for me. And so that's why he's on there. And who would have guessed? Bill Burr, just a stand-up comedian, just comes to the Mandalorian show and just knocks it out of the park so much that they bring him back for another episode in season 2. Pretty awesome.
Bill Burr knocked it out of the park with this. I didn't know Bill Burr could act. I don't think anybody knew that Bill Burr could act, but man, did he act his way through this. Just amazing. Gotta love it. Two
Yeah.
thumbs way, way up.
just a great character, and how dare you not know that he could act? He was on one of the best shows on television ever, Breaking Bad. But let's be honest, he didn't really act on that show. But he did act pretty well on the Chappelle Show, if you remember from some of the skits that he was in. Fantastic, really, really good. But yeah, that's our Mount Rushmore. So we had 4 picks each. We all have our respective picks overall, but notice the similarities. So we got video games, The Mandalorian, and Rogue One are pretty much what ate up both of our Mount Rushmores. So that's saying something. That is definitely saying something. So there's some really great properties out there in the universe, but Star Wars is just super rich with a lot of great, interesting characters. Some of them are could be considered one-offs. Some of them are just really fantastic mythos world builders and universe builders, and some of them are just simple droids. So it's kind of cool to be able to see some of this stuff.
I'm just waiting for all the haters to start getting at us because we didn't include Rey, or Kylo, or anybody.
Let's talk about
on
that
those.
for just a second.
Do we have to? I don't think we need to, but I'm happy to. I will complain about Rey till the cows come home. Happy to. So what's your question?
I recently watched another movie with Daisy Ridley, and it was the movie with her and Tom Holland. I think it was called Chaos Walking.
Okay.
I don't know if she can act. Like, I'm not saying she's a bad actor. I just don't know if she can really act. She plays the same character. And granted, I've only seen her in Star Wars and then Chaos Walking, but plays the same character. I was okay with Rey as a character. And I was even okay with her calling herself Rey Skywalker. I was fine with that. Yes, I can understand the outrage when it comes down to that stuff, but at the same time, she's not my least favorite character by any means. There's definitely way worse characters in the Star Wars world. And when it comes to Kylo, I wasn't super hyped about him, but I think I just like Adam Driver a whole lot. That's the reason why I'm okay with Kylo Ren. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't disagree on the Kylo piece. Adam Driver was amazing in that movie. Kylo just kept switching up from ominous to whiny a little bit too much to me, and his arc of forgiveness in the last movie was
Cheap.
yeah, it was cheap. It was cheap. It wasn't cheap because they paid Harrison Ford a shitload to come back for that. Like, back up the Mouse Brinks truck. But I think that Daisy Ridley, not a bad actress. I loved her in the Agatha Christie movie, or in Express with that all-star cast. She was fine. She didn't have to carry the movie though, so that's probably why. But I mean,
did she play the same character? Did she basically just talk like Daisy Ridley, like it was another Tuesday? Or
Probably.
did she pull some like 1920s flair, like with her accent?
There was some flair. She was okay.
Okay.
She was, like I said,
Okay.
she was okay in it. Nothing of it Martha'd me, and honestly, her Star Wars performance was not terrible, but
Yeah,
she
fine.
is the Bruce Willis of modern actors, where same thing, same character all the time, but it's okay. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's just reality. And yeah, it's not her fault, from a casting perspective. I'm not hating on Rey, but just not a character that I was just like, holy shit. Not even the best new female character, in my opinion, in Star Wars. And again, Kylo, while it was great, not the best villain that they've introduced since Disney, picked up the property. So I think that there's a lot of those sequel characters that the best characters in the sequels definitely overlapped from the previous entities.
Fair enough. And what we don't have a lot of is time left on this episode. We've said our Mount Rushmores and we're sticking to it. Please chime in on the comments if you agree or disagree, or maybe you have your own Mount Rushmore. We'd love to hear it. But until next time, I'm Dan, the Part-Time Avenger. That's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
As Dan said, comment. Hit us up. Tell us we're right. Tell us we're wrong. Send us pictures. We love memes. Hit us up at all of our socials. I can do this at I Can Do This All Day podcast all the way around. And yeah, we love argument from Star Wars fans because you're all vehement and y'all are haters, and we love that. It's fun. Dan
And
loves
force
it.
be with you all.